Oh,
All right. As long as move this thing up in front of you. Feel free to
there we
squeeze
go.
in if you would like, or get comfy.
Okay.
Whatever works for you. And as long as
Do you
you can hear
prefer
yourself.
camera or
Oh, me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's just there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
To be completely honest, the majority of the streams that I get are on the audio.
Okay.
The video does go on Facebook and YouTube, but it's just kind of like an extra supplement for anybody that wants it. And I just have this shit laying around, so I'm like, I might as well use it.
Fair.
And I have this nice space, so it's like, let people see it.
Yeah, you got that nice like exposed brick wall.
Yeah, it's real too. People keep asking me if it is fake or real brick. It is real brick. I'm in Penn Brewery. There's not a fake brick in this fucking building.
Probably not. By that do they mean like, is it a structural part? Like, is it structurally integral?
I think they mean, you ever go to a Home Depot or a Lowe's and they sell like the faux brick panels?
No.
That you could get?
Is that a thing now?
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Okay.
Faux brick exists.
Oh, okay.
It's another byproduct of the millennial generation, I suppose.
That's distressing to me. Okay, well, real brick. We've confirmed it.
Yes, real brick. Cool. Microphones seem to be working. You can hear me.
Yep.
You can hear yourself.
Yep. No reverb.
Cool. Let's friggin' do it.
Let's do it.
Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of the people who listened to that conversation, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda or Sprite or water or whatever in the fridge, whatever you like. No discrimination against your beverage. Maybe some wine in the fridge today as well, given my guest.
Hi, how's it going?
For everybody that has no idea who is sitting to my left here, this is my new acquaintance, hopefully by the end of this conversation, friend, Celine Roberts. Make some noise for the internet. Everyone's really happy that you're here.
I'm psyched to be here.
So, for those of you that do not know Celine, I don't know her either. But apparently, she is a service industry veteran, worked in a lot of places. You write for the Pittsburgh Magazine. What do you write for Pittsburgh Magazine? Food stuff?
Yeah, I write about food.
Write about food. So you work in food and restaurants and you write about food and you have this whole life about food and entertainment, I suppose.
Dinner is my life.
Dinner is your life. And I mean, we all eat. We're all human. And I am someone who is super tied into the local like arts and entertainment scene with like music and film, art, comedy, all that stuff. And a big part of that is always food because either we're playing at a place where there's food or I'm going out to eat or this and that. And I'm really fascinated by the local Pittsburgh food scene because over the past decade, it's definitely gone off the rails. And in the past 5 years, it seems to have gone even more. And it's just getting crazy with all of the breweries and restaurants, all of these things. It's a lot to handle. So I'm really excited to talk with you because you probably have your finger on the pulse of a lot of things going on in the Pittsburgh scene and around the area. Am I right? Am I wrong?
You're right.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some things that I've probably missed. And if I have, please let me know.
Well, yeah, there's always things that we miss. And I think that's why it's always fun to meet new people and talk with them about what they're into, what is coming across their palates, if you will. So with you and as the individual, Celine Roberts, what do you do right now? Not necessarily where have you been, but right now, what are all the hats that you are wearing?
So right now, I am a freelance writer for Pittsburgh Magazine, focusing on food and food culture. So I'm not a critic. I mostly focus on the who, what, where, when of what's going on in the food scene. Not so much the is it good, is it bad kind of thing.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, criticism has a big place. I'm just not in that place. So I do something a little bit different. And then I also work front of house at Bar Marco in the Strip District. You could basically throw a rock from your studio and hit it. And we are, for anyone who doesn't know, a cocktail and all-natural wine bar and restaurant that focuses on Italian food. and interpretations of that. Mostly Piedmontese cuisine with a little bit of Northern Italian and Southern Italian thrown in. So that's where I'm at. And I'm also currently studying for my first introductory level of the master Court of Master Sommeliers exam.
Wow.
hmm So I got a lot
That's
going
pretty
on.
intimidating.
Yeah, it sounds. I'm hoping it sounds more intimidating than it actually is. But it is. Yeah, it is intimidating.
Yeah. So with all of that, there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to dig into. So let's just start, I guess, with Pittsburgh Magazine, because
Okay.
that seems to be where we probably intersect the most.
Mhm.
Because with this show, I'm not really much of an interview. I'm more of a who, what, when, where, why type of person, just with people that are doing interesting things. And it seems like that's kind of maybe the path that you're on, but with people that are in the food industry.
Yeah.
So, with the food industry in Pittsburgh, what is the thing that you find to be the most exciting right now that's happening?
Most exciting. There are a couple of ways you could approach that question. I'm always most excited about people who are really excited about what they're doing. So people like Kate Lasky, who is at Apteca, owns Apteca
I
with her
love that
partner
place.
Tomas. Um, I'm every time I walk into that restaurant, I and order one of their dishes, I feel like they aren't necessarily trying to put out something that everyone will love, but they're focusing on what they're really passionate about
Mhm.
and hoping that everyone will enjoy it just as much as they do. And so there's a sort of genuineness about what they're doing. Right down the street, Chef Brian at Soju, kind of doing the same thing, taking a lot of his Korean background and turning that into like a fun, approachable atmosphere for anyone who can drop by and just like have a bite or a snack. Um, those are the things that I'm excited about. People who are delving into a piece of themselves and kind of putting it out there for everybody else to enjoy.
Yeah. That's what I tend to gravitate a lot towards too when it comes to music or art, is just people that are unapologetically themselves. And I do see that when I go to a place like Apteca, where this food and the menu and the style, it's just unapologetically, this is us. And it may not be trendy, it may not be the most popular thing, but what we do is really fucking good. And every time I go in that place, it's packed
hmm
because, they have their own unique voice. And like, maybe it was a risk at first to do something like that, but if you do something good, it'll resonate with people. And that's how I feel a lot about art. I think there's a really big correlation between art and music. Like if you're a chef crafting a menu, and even the way that you have to market things nowadays, it's all the same. We're all using the same platforms. We're all trying to do the same tricks to get people in our door, I
hmm
suppose. With being a freelance writer for, a publication, how do you like find just getting articles out into the ether? Do you find that's something that's like easy for you to do, getting people to like interact with the content that you're putting out there? Do you think there's still a lot of people that are trying to read things, or is it just about like, oh well, somebody on Instagram said it was good, so I'll check it out?
No, I mean, I think we are the Instagram generation, right? So I think the power of that social media is really powerful, and especially if it's interactive, like everybody loves a boomerang. But I do think that there is also a market for a more formal setting, right? So you have your influencers who are important and offer one thing, and then you have your publications with writers who people have been reading for years and trust, and there's a place for that. As far as getting what out there, when I'm putting, I have this really wonderful platform. My editors are very supportive, really willing and open to listen to ideas, and they already have readership. So
Yeah.
as a freelancer, I'm able to write for their readership and have something out there that looks beautiful, that has an online platform that I can just sort of easily tap into.
With writing, I'm curious what came first. Was it your working in the service industry or writing? Or
Little
were they kind of a little bit of both?
little bit of chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
I was a fiction writer as a kid. I mean, nothing, mostly like my journal,
Okay.
or like small readings. I helped run the New Yinzer and a reading series in college. And then I started working in restaurants because I was broke and started bartending. And as a result of that, just started reading a lot about that world, a lot of like Anthony Bourdain,
Sure.
Kitchen Confidential stuff, and became totally fascinated with the way that people were writing about something that is just a part of most people's everyday life. I don't think at the time when this had been back in like 2009, the food scene wasn't something that there weren't like a million shows about it on Food Network. There weren't a ton
Sure.
of books about the inside life of a service industry worker. It was just kind of something that was there. Um, and so I decided that I like grew a secret dream that I would write about it. And then I got an opportunity to become an editorial assistant at the Pittsburgh City paper. Um, so I did, and I got a chance from my editor at the time there, Charlie Deitch, to write about something that I was interested in. So I started writing their cocktail column. They had an opening, and that's how it all started. It's 5 years later now.
And at the time, you were working in restaurants at the time.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of like, you're in this environment, you're meeting people that are super passionate, and you have this other thing where it's like, I'm writing, and it's like, fuck, I want to tell these people stories and
Yeah.
get it out there.
Write what you know.
Yeah.
And that was what I knew, and still what I'm now like deeply invested in so many ways. I'd done a little bit of farming with the Worldwide Workers on Organic Farms. So WOOF, that's the program. And I loved that. That was like the best summer of my life. So I'd kind of had like from seed to like washing dishes, I'd kind of seen all of the aspects of what it takes to get your food to a restaurant table. And so I was just really interested in writing about that process.
That's a whole nother thing that I've never even thought about too deeply. I mean, obviously I know farms are a thing.
Yeah, they're a thing.
But I never even considered that. That's a whole nother world. Just the beginnings of everything, where everything's grown or raised, and just getting it from point A to point B to point C to stomach.
It's a ton of work. There's so much hidden labor that happens before that like plate gets to you. And a lot of it in Pittsburgh, luckily, is now coming from, within a 50-mile radius. There are tons of like little farms that are being used in restaurants in the area.
Now, there's so many restaurants in the area to use this stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned at the top of the podcast, I don't know if it was either just that there wasn't a huge food scene in Pittsburgh, or maybe I just wasn't aware of it. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe my awareness has made me aware of things that were already there.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they just weren't there. Maybe my awareness grew as it grew in the city. I'm not too sure.
I mean, the last 10 years has been, I would say, like the significant boom, like most recent boom of like new cocktail bars, new restaurants, new ways of doing things. When I moved to Pittsburgh in 2007, I wasn't legal to drink yet. But 2 years later, when I was, Brillo Box was like the spot.
Yeah.
For cocktails. And Brillo Box still runs a great business, and I still drink there.
I love Brillo Box. Shout outs to Lou.
Yeah, definitely.
Good dude.
But now, you can have a drink at Brillo Box and walk, 5 blocks and be at another really great bar.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't something you could do 10 years ago.
Go over to like, that was it, Tina's. That's the new cool spot. Mm-hmm. That's like right there. That's, you can cartwheel from Brillo Box to Tina's.
Basically crawl. Yeah, and that just wasn't an option. When you went out, you went to a spot and stayed, because it's not like you had a ton of breadth. There was no like progressive dinner, no progressive drinking.
So with you then, outside of being a writer and a journalist, you're also obviously working still in the service industry.
Mm-hmm.
What is your like shit when it comes to being in the service industry? What is your favorite part of being in it still?
Ooh. There's so many things that I love about it. And I think anyone in the service industry would tell you that they have sort of a love-hate relationship with a
Yeah,
lot of
because
aspects of it.
what I was thinking was it's like people that I know that work in the service industry are either like so unpassionate about it that it's miserable to even be around them,
Hmm.
or they love it so much that it makes me think like, why am I not doing this? It's like
Yeah.
one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in my blood now. Um, right now, my shit is natural wine. Um, since coming to Bar Marco just over a year ago, I decided that I wanted to work there to learn more about wine because I felt like it was this really big gap in my knowledge about food. I'd
Yeah.
been writing about cocktails for 4
I don't know
years.
shit about wine.
I'd been like a line cook at a vegan place. I'd worked on farms. I was like, okay, like I feel pretty well rounded. Now there's this huge gap in this really important, like thousands of year old tradition of hospitality that I just really don't know anything about other than like, can I
Yeah.
have a dry white, please?
Uh-huh.
Which is just not, it's embarrassing.
Sure.
For me, as someone who's like invested the last 10 years in it, it's embarrassing. There's nothing wrong with ordering that way.
Yeah, no.
I'm not
No, I
invested
totally understand
not
where you're coming
invested in
from.
snobbery. I
'Cause
want to make that clear.
Yeah, because I'm like such an unintentional snob when it comes to coffee and beer
Mhm.
and so many things, but wine, I'm so ignorant. And it's like I feel like I may as well just like take the steps so I can know. It's
You
like
should
the missing piece of the puzzle.
come to Bar Marco. So
Okay.
now I'm like I'm in a spot that I've been in for the last year of total wine nerdery. And the program that we run there really facilitates that. We're a very small staff. I'm pretty much there. I would say like 90% of the nights we're open, I'm there. So we're all pretty deeply involved in what gets ordered, what we're tasting.
Yeah.
Everybody's really collaborative about sharing their knowledge, which is not always the case. And now that I've been studying for this test, it's just sort of like a deeper dive into learning more about wine.
Yeah. What do you all have to study to do? Was it sommelier? How does
Oh,
that work?
so it depends on what level you're taking. So
Okay.
there's introductory, certified, advanced, master. And the 4 levels of that are like every step gets significantly harder by like a factor of 4.
Sure.
So it's not like you just like jump from one step to another. Often it will take people like several tries and maybe several years to get from certified to advanced or from advanced to master. The initial test is mostly about breadth. So, like, what are the world's most prominent wine regions? What are the varietals or like types of grapes from
Okay.
each region that are considered to be important?
It's like the Wikipedia knowledge.
It's breadth, not depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of setting you up, like, what are the basics of service? How should you like pour something?
Mm.
So that test, I believe, has like a 60% pass rate.
Okay.
It's definitely like the easiest of the levels.
Yeah.
Might be higher than that. Don't quote me on those numbers, but it's quite
Oh,
high.
Okay.
And then after that, you start getting into things like detailed wine service and blind tasting.
Yeah, I feel like it goes from a point where it escalates past just like muscle memory and knowledge to like you need a genuine passion. It has to be like in your blood
Right.
to like really get that level. Just like an almost an understanding that like a musician has with like you can like learn a song, but can you really play it? Like naturally play it with the right feel and nuance of understanding it.
Yep, that's a really good analogy. I'm going to use that. So you've asked me, your initial question was like, what's your shit
Yeah.
about the service industry? And talking about wine, I feel like it's brought me back around to actually being able to answer that question.
Cool.
And the answer to that is that I love the beauty of hospitality and the human tradition. And by hospitality, I don't mean whatever you want. The customer is always right. Like, oh yes, Malige, like what can I
Sure.
get you? But I mean more of the sense of for thousands of years, we've been inviting people into our homes and asking them if they'd like a beverage. essentially, or if they'd like a snack, as a way of saying like, hey, like hang out with me for a while, let's exchange ideas, or let's just sit and be
Yeah.
together. And coffee, right? That's sort of like the morning tradition of that, or the mid-afternoon tradition. And wine is like the nightcap of that, or like starting in the afternoon. And there are so many of these like beautiful connections that you can draw between when you're doing that kind of work, between what you're doing and what people did thousands of years ago.
Yeah. There's something that is undeniably human about that, going to a place built by other people to enjoy food that they spent years crafting and coming up with these recipes and skills, and people that are bartenders crafting cocktails and things like that. It's like a you're giving into the community, like monetarily, socially. It's really cool to be a part of that. And it's
Mhm.
almost the same way that I feel. I'm going to bring up music a lot just because I compare those worlds so much. Like going and seeing people play. It's like you're a part of this thing that means so much to them,
Mhm.
to like see that and experience it in a live situation and maybe simultaneously have a cocktail or something. It's just a
Right.
cool, like, oh wow, like we are humans living together on this planet. Let's enjoy each other's company and skills and talents and to the fullest advantage versus just either staying in or taking part in something that isn't so personal, because there's
Mhm.
definitely a lot of culinary experiences that one may go and enjoy that isn't necessarily the most personal of an experience.
Right.
And I think that that's where if you get into a conversation about like money and maybe it costs money to more money to go to Bar Marco than it would to go to I don't know,
Burger King.
Joe's
Yeah.
Joe's Bob Burger Shack, yeah,
Mhm.
whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, but you're paying for two totally different experiences, and a lot of people, for better or worse, don't value or understand the experience of going to a place like Bar Marco and what it means to the people that go there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that being said, also, like, there is so much value in everybody's labor. I really am, like, a believer in that, you are getting a different experience
Yeah,
at Bar Marco, and that is attached to money in some way. But, like, people who are working in any type of service
totally.
situation, they deserve respect for their labor
Yeah,
too.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm speaking more of a consumer. I
Right.
think the reasons why people go to different sorts of places, because I'm always fascinated when I meet people who have that mentality that you do. Like I work in the service industry and I love it because I love connecting with other people and learning and knowledge and, even just moving to Bar Marco because like I want to know about wine and this place does wine. So I can work, I can support myself, and I can expand my knowledge to develop as a human being. There's a lot of cool opportunity for that. And a lot of
Mhm.
people aren't always thinking about that when it comes to work. It's just like, well, I need money. And I totally get it.
Yeah, we all
So,
do.
yeah. But I think that the underlining thing that I think I'm trying to bring up here is that if you are passionate about something, I think there is a way to find that in the workforce. And whether it's food or journalism or being a nurse or whatever. If you
Mhm.
are passionate about something, you can find that in the workforce and make it a career
Absolutely.
on any level. Even if you like being like, if you're somebody that's super into customer service, I mean, you could still work at like a Burger King or something like
Oh,
that and
yeah.
be a manager there and fucking kill it and probably make a pretty good living, honestly.
Well, definitely make that Burger King a killing, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sound like such a Luddite right now, but I think, especially in a world where things move so fast and there are so many relatively new things, right? Like the importance of um, like the more historical traditions that we share, like music, going to a concert or just listening to people play or sharing a meal together or like looking at art becomes more important
Yeah.
almost because it draws you back as opposed to, and that's just as important as springing forward, like having that balance.
I think it's really easy to become disconnected in the era that we live in with our cell phones and the social medias and Grubhubs, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You can get food from like one of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh and just have somebody deliver it to you and never leave the fucking house.
Right.
Which don't get me wrong, that's tight every once in a while.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean,
No,
I love some Grubhub every once in a while.
yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but I think that the idea is to just don't completely abandon the tradition of like going out and experiencing what's going on in your community in the city.
Mhm.
When you go to a restaurant, I like asking questions to the server and things like that, not because I'm trying to be annoying, but I'm just genuinely curious. And I like whenever the person that at the place is as excited as I am to tell me about what's going on. So I can like leave there like with a little bit more knowledge in my head. But that's just the way my brain works. I'm always
Mhm.
trying to learn and absorb things and engage with it on like a level that's deeper than, oh, I come here, I give you money, you give me thing, I leave. Like I like getting to know people that work at the places I go to, especially if it's places that I go to frequently. Just because I like developing those relationships with people. I enjoy being human and using my humanness to human with other humans.
Yeah,
You
totally.
know what I'm saying?
It's fun to have, I mean, and that's the reason why it's like fun to have regulars, right?
Uh-huh.
It's because you get to know a little bit about that person's life or what they like. And when you remember those things, it doesn't go unnoticed. It feels good for you too, like as
Yeah.
the person who's providing the service.
As a customer, a consumer, do you have a place or a specific time in mind that you can remember when you realized that you were a regular somewhere?
A regular. Um,
Like being on the other end of that.
yeah. So there is a Thai restaurant in my neighborhood. So I live in Wilkinsburg. But I consider that whole area my neighborhood. If it's walkable, it's my neighborhood.
Fair enough.
There's a Thai restaurant. It's lovely. Everybody should go. It's called Thai Cottage. And there is a woman who works there whose name is Belle. And she is just the personification of like light and glee. She's just, I just love her.
Mhm.
And she's so welcoming. And I had been a waitress at Nikki's Thai Kitchen years ago, and she would come in on dates there a lot. So I would
Oh.
always take care of her, and we kind of got to know each other that way.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Wilkinsburg and started going to this Thai restaurant, she was working there. So we had this like
That's fun.
cute little back and forth going on.
Yeah.
And I went in a lot. I was a regular there. And one time when she came back from Thailand, they close every year for like 2 weeks. So all of the workers can go take vacation, and most of them are Thai and go back to Thailand during that time to visit family. And I came back in for the first time after they were all back, and she brought me this like little wooden elephant sculpture. This like really beautiful
Aw.
little sculpture. And she was like, "Oh, I thought of you when I was away."
Wow. That is so adorable.
It was so nice. And she always knew my order, but I was like, wow, I must be here a lot.
Uh-huh.
I must be here a lot
Yeah.
for her to be like, "Oh, I thought of this guest that I have often."
Uh-huh.
And it was really sweet. It's on my mantle right now.
That's super awesome.
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah, that's so nice because obviously, it's like just those simple gestures. It just makes you feel undeniably human.
Hmm.
Like you can't take that away. It's just like, oh, life is nice.
Yeah, this is
People-
nice.
People are generally pretty okay.
It's good to have that reminder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because especially with our internet things that like to put all of the bad
Mhm.
in our face to make us upset, so we stay on them longer and angry,
Yeah.
angry.
I am like a very sentimental person. And I try to bring that to my writing as much as I can about I guess I'm interested in writing about the sentimentality of the restaurant industry, whether that's a good sentiment or a bad sentiment
Sure.
remains to be seen, but just like the feelings that are provoked
Mhm.
by it.
Is there anything with what's going on in Pittsburgh right now, and we don't have to name anything specifically, but is there anything that rubs you the wrong way? whether it's like maybe like particular restaurant groups that take over certain areas of town or just certain trends that rub you the wrong way.
Anything that rubs me the wrong way. Um,
Or are you just generally positive about everything that's going on?
I feel pretty good about the way things are going. I feel like that's a cop-out answer. Um, Let me think about that for
Like
a
it can even
minute.
be something as simple as like I'm sick of seeing all the Edison light bulbs. I don't know, like trends or
Yeah,
not that you have to say anything bad. There just could just genuinely not be anything bad.
I feel like I talk about things that irk me all the time, and now you're putting me on the spot.
I
And I can't.
apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, here's something really small that I like hate.
Okay.
I hate having a dirty table.
Oh, yeah.
And different restaurants, and let me explain what I mean by that. So, if I'm out at a place in some sort of writing capacity, if I'm the guest, let's say, because I live my life on both sides, right?
Exactly.
Which makes me, I think, a more forgiving diner in a lot of ways. But
Empathetic.
if I'm dining with you
Yes.
and you're doing a lot of talking, you're telling me a story, and I'm like eating and listening to you, and I've finished a lot longer before you, and my plate is just on the table with my cutlery. Like, I want it to be gone now.
Yeah.
Even if you're still eating, like, I don't like having like extra glassware or extra plates on the table. It really bothers me. And some restaurants have a policy and it's seen as like a polite thing that like, oh, you leave plates until everyone is finished because you don't want to
Oh.
feel like somebody else is rushed.
Okay.
So this is a really nitpicky thing.
Sure.
I just hate that. I don't know why. I'd much rather have a like clear as I go kind of scenario.
Uh-huh.
So that's something that annoys me. I also hate it when food is served under temperature.
Yeah.
Like, I like things to be, if it's supposed to be hot, I want it to like maybe have to cool down just a little bit. Because then I know it hasn't just been sitting on the line.
Yeah. I could see that.
So those are the things that really bother me.
I agree with that. I think I nitpick a lot of stuff too. Most of the time, if I don't like going to restaurants that are busy in general, just because I feel like you're not getting a fair representation of the food when the place is slammed because the cooks are
Everybody's stressed.
stressed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make for a pleasant experience for anyone.
Yeah. Ooh, here's something you could relate to that also bothers me and everyone else on earth. When it's super loud.
Yeah.
Please, I know it's expensive, but please bring in like a sound person to just stand in your restaurant and put some tasteful foam up. That's all you really have to do. Just pay someone a one-time fee to be like, hey, this is how you could marginally dampen the sound.
Yeah.
Because then nobody can talk. Everybody's screaming. Everybody's unhappy.
Well, that gets into an interesting conversation where I think there's a lot of things like that people just overlook. And until somebody tells them, they may not even know that is a thing that they could do.
That's true.
You get a lot of, it seems like most of the time there's a lot of places that you go to and there's always something that's missing because either, this person is like a really good chef and I have a really good idea for a restaurant. So whatever, it's not going to look that great in here, but the food's going to be awesome. Or you get somebody that's like an architect and it's like, I want to make a restaurant. So they have this place that looks gorgeous and then they hire a chef and it's like, well, this doesn't look this like it matches all weird. Or sometimes all the stars align and it's perfect.
Everybody has their blind spots.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely something worth maybe telling people like, hey, it's a little loud in here. Why don't you spend $1,000 on some foam and put it on the ceiling? Like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
just trust me. Just trust me.
Everybody's going to be happy. Your staff will be happier. Your diners will be happier.
Uh-huh. With live entertainment in restaurants, this is something where our worlds kind of intersect a little bit. That's something that I always find it's really funny whenever I have friends. So with the type of music that I play, I don't really get asked to play restaurants a whole lot. Okay. It's fine. I totally get it. It's just,
it's not ambiance music.
No. We're dealing with like a very much like a ranch dressing on ice cream sort of situation here. You don't want to mix it. It's not going to work. But I have friends that play all different kinds of music, and it bothers me when I go to a nice place to watch my friends play music and they have like a really bad setup for the sound. It's like a gorgeous place.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? $2,000 light fixtures all over the place and like a $200 little sound setup in the corner. And it's like, if you want to
Yeah.
facilitate live music here, get a little bit of money and just buy something nice. So it could be a good representation for everybody that's there.
I think this boils down to almost the cause of almost every problem that we ever have, which is communication.
Fair enough.
Ask one of those musicians that you hired to help you figure out a better sound system.
Uh-huh. I think a lot of the time too, you're dealing with, I understand that the restaurant industry, and much like the music industry or entertainment in general, you're dealing with a very fine line when it comes to your budgeting and
Shoestring.
yes.
Yeah.
So, you're always trying to cut costs and figure things out to make it work. And that's something that irks me a lot, actually, when it comes to places. Whenever I find a place that I like, I will frequent it. And there's definitely places that I've frequented that have opened up. And I understand that once it opens, you got to start fine tuning things. Maybe you change some things on the menu, you change your prices. But there's been a few places that I'm not going to name because I'm kind, but they have just eventually changed so much that I feel like it's become a completely different place
Okay.
as a result of what I can see is nothing more than just like trying to make it for like budget cuts.
Trying to stay open.
Just trying to stay open,
Yeah.
which I totally get, but it becomes a bit of a bummer for me.
Yeah, it's sad as a guest when something that you really like changes. I guess on that end, I have a lot of sympathy for the people who are trying to stay open, because if you make it past a year, you're doing good. If you make it past 3 years, whew,
Yeah.
gold star. After 5, you're like, maybe I'm going to be okay. Maybe I'll be able to stay in this business. It's just so hard.
I think it's really hard now too, if we're just talking with Pittsburgh, because places just keep opening.
Mhm.
And I mean, one thing that I can think about a lot was just with breweries. There's like, 5 dozen breweries within 40 miles of here right now, probably
Pittsburgh's a
even
huge
more.
beer town.
It's crazy.
They
And
all seem to be doing okay.
they
though.
are.
Like, there's a market for
I'm very
it.
surprised. I wonder how long it's gonna last, but I don't wish anybody any ill will,
hmm
except maybe like one place that I think is rude. But
I think it's gonna last.
yeah,
There's been a lot of talk about the bubble, like the restaurant bubble. When's it gonna pop? And I mean, our population has started to climb a little bit. More industry is coming here. People with money are coming here, which presents its own pros and cons for people who've been living here for a long time. Um, I don't think we're going to see a significant bust.
I think
That's what I think.
I think as long as everybody finds a way to keep telling their own story with their
Mhm.
place and have their own unique voice and give people a reason to go there. A place like Apteca.
Yeah.
Like there's not any. I've eaten all over this rock that we're on. And that's a very unique place
Mhm.
in terms of even in Pittsburgh and just the rest of the galaxy. It's a very unique place.
So that's my biggest concern with the bubble argument, is that the thing that I care about the most is like this idea of soul, right? And hospitality and putting some of yourself into what you're doing. And I really want people like Kate and Tomas or Jen, who just opened Farmer and Baker in Aspinwall, to still be able to open these little places,
Yeah.
even though they don't have these big investors, or they didn't have them. I still want people who have like a little restaurant dream to be able to make that happen, because that's what makes Pittsburgh continue to be a unique food market. So I just hope that costs stay down enough that
Yeah.
people will still be able to do those things, because those are the places that I love for that reason.
Same. With your personal diet and life, you mentioned that you were a line cook at a vegan place.
Mhm.
Do you have a vegan diet or
No.
no?
No, that would be nearly impossible. It would, yeah.
That was going to be my next question, was going to be like, how has working in the industry changed your concept of food and your palate personally?
So I was a vegetarian for 12 years. And when I started working in food, that is when I started branching out a little bit more. I've been lucky to work almost exclusively at restaurants that really care about where they're sourcing from and what they're using, especially with like meat.
Yeah.
So my transition to meat eating has been kind of easy in that like I try 95% of the time to eat meat that is I know where it's come from, that's locally, raised, that isn't full of like hormones or
Yeah.
antibiotics, and support the people that are trying to stick to using those methods. Um, and so I get to be a snob about it a little bit because I'm usually working at those places, right? So
Yeah.
the price point isn't so scary for me because usually I'll get like some sort of employee discount. For people who are just eating out in the world, who don't have these connections, who might not know about, ethically raised animals, the price points can look really shocking if you're going to the grocery store and trying to buy organic meat or trying to buy locally raised meat. Um, and in order to be able to eat like that, you would be required to eat less of those products in order for the same price.
Yeah.
And that's a hard pill to swallow if you like have a family or
Sure.
you're working for $15 an hour or less than that, minimum wage. And so I guess the answer to that question is that I'm lucky in that my transition to eating more broadly has kind of been cushioned by having all this direct contact with the people who are raising my food and also like having the benefit of having it cost me a little bit less.
Yeah.
But it's also made me think a lot about how we can make that more available for people who don't have that kind of privilege or that kind of access.
Yeah. I think in general, most people eat too much to begin with. I think we all, as a population, I think we eat way too much fucking food that we don't need to eat. I've been trying to like scale back even just like the amount of food. Like it's really, really silly. Just like dumb shit. Like Oreos,
Like
and
snacks.
potato chips, snacks, like all that unnecessary stuff. It's so hard. I like really, really battle with restraint just because my brain's like, they're in the cupboard. Just have a couple. It's not a big deal.
I mean, I think that that's really hardwired, right?
I guess so.
It's easy. It's like an easy treat. I think
like-
so many
like,
people have that same problem.
I-
I have that problem.
But like the next day, I'm like kicking myself. Like I ate like 5 Oreos before I went to bed, and I had a hard time waking up. And I know goddamn well it's because I ate those fucking Oreos before I went to sleep. Because if I don't eat before I go to bed, I usually wake up and like it's easier for me to get up. I'm a little hungry, you know?
Should bring my mom on this podcast. She's a dietitian.
Oh.
Was a dietitian my whole life. So I feel like I'm just sitting in for my mom right now.
Okay.
On this particular side of the conversation.
Yeah, I'm so like my brain's been over like the past year thinking a lot more about like what I eat, why I'm eating it, how much I'm eating. And I feel like I'm on a better path than where I had been previously, but I still struggle with just like little dumb shit like that.
Totally. Treats.
Yeah.
They're delicious. It's hard to stay
What's
away.
your favorite treat?
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
Any particular flavor or just the concept of ice cream in general?
Mostly the concept of ice cream in general. I mean, my favorite ice cream in town is definitely Millie's.
Millie's is awesome.
It's great. They have lots of interesting flavors, always trying something different. But yeah, like ice cream on a cone.
I was going to ask,
Ooh,
cone, waffle cone, sugar cone?
Cone all the way.
Sugar cone.
No.
OG, waffle cone.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You gotta have the crunch.
Yeah.
So good.
How are you with milkshakes?
I love them. They always hurt me though. Because I drink them too fast and then it's like I'm full of regret because it hurts.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely ice cream is.
I always
the
have to
best
eat
treat.
the smallest amount of ice cream unless it's a non-dairy ice cream.
Oh, okay.
Just because it just I don't think I'm lactose intolerant or anything. It's just I don't eat a whole lot of dairy to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So ice cream can be a lot for me since I'm already kind of avoiding it
Right.
most of the time.
Give me all the dairy, cheese,
Yeah, I
ice
mean, don't get me
cream.
wrong. I love cheese, I love pizza,
Mhm.
all those things, but I try to limit my interactions with it. It's another one of those things from my past year. Just cheese, don't need so much of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Butter, don't need so
Alcohol.
much of it.
Don't drink so much of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Alcohol's the other one.
Yeah, wine. Ugh. I love it. And it's so easy to justify because, I'm studying it now, so I should probably have some of it.
Yeah. How else are you gonna learn?
Right. Slippery slope.
Yeah. That was the thing with the whole beer thing was I started helping run a beer festival.
Mm,
So we started having like meetings all the time. And every meeting is like, well, we got to try some beer.
right.
And then like we're meeting with local breweries and we're going to places and like they know who I am. So it's like, here's a beer. Take this 6-pack home. And it's like, Jesus Christ, I have like a fucking fridge full of beer that all my brewer friends gave me. And it's like, well, it gets to a point where it's like I'm thirsty. Instead of having a water, it's like, well, have a beer.
Have a beer.
Have a beer. 42 pounds later, like, why do none of my clothes fit anymore? What happened? Oh, yeah, it's probably all the beer and the butter and the cheese.
That's the fridge full of beer. Sounds like a terrible
This is a
problem to
hot
have.
button topic. Since we're talking about cheese, and I
Uh-huh.
was thinking of pizza.
Uh-huh.
What is your Pittsburgh pizza go-to?
Oh my God. Pete Tallman at Ironborn.
Okay, Ironborn's pretty good stuff.
It's so good. It's like
Yeah.
eating a whole loaf of bread, which I'm very into.
Uh-huh.
But that's okay. Yeah, they're right down the street from where I work. So it's great pizza. I love it. If I can't handle the whole loaf of bread pizza, which sometimes I can't, Pizza Badamo in the north side,
Badamo's my favorite. That's my number one.
very good.
Yeah.
Those would probably be my two.
All right.
And I like dinette pizza too.
I've never
a
had
lot.
that.
You've never been to dinette?
Uh-uh.
Oh man, you got to go.
What is Dinette? Is that in East Liberty?
Sonia Finn owns it.
Okay.
She's been running it for she's executive chef and owner.
Yeah.
It's been open for, I think they just had their 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, that's been open for a while, right?
Mhm.
Is that in East Liberty or am I crazy?
No, it's in East Liberty.
Yeah. Okay.
And she has a great little wine program as well. So it's like thin crust, super fresh vegetables pizza
Huh.
with a glass of wine. Can't beat it.
Nice.
Mhm.
That sounds cute.
It's great.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a pet peeve I have. And this is like really unjustified. But restaurants that have cute little one-word names like that.
Like dinette?
It just bugs me.
Okay. So what do you prefer then?
I don't know. Just places that have names like that bug me. It makes no sense.
That's
Trust me.
fair. See, I prefer that to something more elaborate, honestly. Although it's now closed, but there was a bar in Philly that had the best bar name ever, in my opinion. And it was called Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can't do better than that.
Yeah. That's a good name.
It's a great name.
It's a shame it's closed.
I know. I never got to go.
Oh.
I only heard about it. And I was in Philly a couple of months ago and I was so excited to go. And they're like, oh, it's been closed for a while.
Damn.
Such a good name.
Yeah. Killer name. Now I'm thinking about like one word, like restaurants that I like. And just like the one, just bugs me.
Bugs you. Too
But,
cute? Too twee?
I think it's just too like, it's too, I guess it's too cute. I don't know.
Fair.
It's completely unjustified though.
What's your favorite place?
My favorite place, favorite restaurant.
You can't ask me that question, but I can ask you that question.
Okay, why can't I ask you that question?
I can't answer it.
That's really hard because there's so many different kinds of food. So it's really
Give
hard.
me like one of your top 3. I'll make it easier for you.
Okay. So I really like the Commoner.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really nice date type of place.
Yep.
When it comes to like maybe more I really like the Pear and the Pickle that's up there.
Yeah, definite shout outs to Pear and Pickle.
Yeah. So I'm there every day of my life, except for Mondays because they're closed.
Mm.
So, but that's more of like a breakfast spot. I really like I have a soft spot in my heart for pretty much every Mad Mex. I just like Mad Mex. It's like a good like I'm want to, fill up my stomach with some garbage and have a couple beers. That's the spot. Or Permanis.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But
Tell me.
only it has to be the Strip District Permanis or I'm probably not going to go.
Okay.
I will make an exception for Oakland or Southside. And the new one on Penn is fine, but for the most part, it needs to be Strip District.
Are you from Pittsburgh?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your first Permanis experience?
My first Permanis experience was probably the one in North for Sales, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Teenager,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah, high school.
So is there part of it that's like deep nostalgia?
For Permanis?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No.
No. I just think that it's like, I like the Strip District one because it's just like unapologetically Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And,
It's the original location.
It's the OG. Everybody, and like, it's like, it's a little like, it just has history.
Mm-hmm.
You go in there, you feel like everybody on the planet has been in that building at one point in time, which is really cool. Everybody that works there is always super fucking nice. The food's really good. It's cheap. It's close to home.
Right.
Now, I mean, I didn't always live in Troy Hill, but it's close to home now. It's just like, it really hits the mark for like, I just finished playing a show. I'm really hungry. I want to stop somewhere on the way home. Like I could go there, get a sandwich and a beer for like $10 and go home. It's perfect.
There's something really resonant about a restaurant that feels like people have been there.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things Pittsburgh really has going for it in the food scene because we have all of these really beautiful old lived-in buildings. So there's not a ton of new construction. So it's almost something that gets brought into a lot of places that like you go in, you're like, oh, people have been here for a long time. It might not have been in this restaurant, but there's this like, there's a feeling to it.
Yeah.
That makes you feel like, it makes me feel like I want to be there.
Uh-huh.
Some people love new construction. I am not one of those people. But I like the weight of that. It almost feels like throwing a blanket over your shoulders.
Yeah. Like sometimes I go to places like a place like Superior Motors and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this place is gorgeous.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, they did a really good job. But like I'll go to a place that may have a similar aesthetic and it's like, this just feels like, the fuck am I eating food in an IKEA catalog right now? Like I just don't feel like there's any like soul in it sometimes when it comes to places that
They're
just,
super new.
yeah, it just feels weird. Like when it's like so new that like you could smell how new it is in there.
It's like a new car. There's a time and place for it, totally. But if we're talking about preference, I prefer a lived-in feel.
Mm-hmm.
Although, what I will say is that one of the, how you have like memories that are sort of snapshots in your mind of just, it might have been like a 3-second memory, but it's stuck in there.
Yeah.
I went to Superior Motors a couple of years ago and it was snowing. And like it was really coming down.
Yeah.
And it was dark because it was like midwinter. And that window that they have in front that overlooks the Braddock, like the works, all the snow was coming down. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm in Norway or something, like it just felt really, because it's so clean. It's very like, the design is very Nordic in some ways, like that clean, not IKEA, because that brings a negative connotation, but.
IKEA's fine.
It was very, yeah, it felt very, I felt like I was in a Girl with a Dragon Tattoo novel.
Okay.
Like about, I can't remember the author's name, but like about to have some sort of like secret drinks over a table. It was great.
Yeah.
Like I'll always remember that as a positive, like cool memory.
Yeah. I'm sure
Stieg Larsson. There we go.
There you go. So outside of food and maybe a book or two, what interests you outside of the realm of food? You have any passions?
I actually love music. I'm not a musician. My dad's a musician, so I grew up being like seeing his shows. I love seeing music out. Con Alma, just to like bring back in the restaurants real quick.
Yeah.
They are a new restaurant in Shadyside. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Mm-mm.
They opened like a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago. They're a new jazz bar.
Cool.
Sounds a little weird in Shadyside. It's amazing. If you like jazz, I'd highly suggest going there. It's like a New York style club where you're right up with the band. You know, they're like two tops, and you could basically like reach out and touch someone, which is how I love to see jazz. And I was so sad when all of the clubs died in Pittsburgh, and now it feels like there's a place for that again, which I'm really excited about.
That's awesome.
I'm also a big hiker, backpacker, love being outside, and love traveling to do that, going to national parks and stuff. So I'll try like any kind of physical feat once.
Okay.
Like I went to Mexico with my family in the spring and decided I was going to learn how to surf. So for a week, I got up every day at 7 a.m. on vacation and went surfing, and then went surfing again at night.
Riding waves.
It was great. I mean, I was terrible. I got like super trounced. The first 3 days, I like haven't been that sore since I learned how to snowboard, which I don't know if you've ever snowboarded before, but the first week is also hell.
I always wanted to snowboard. I was very much an extreme sports kid, believe it or not.
But I love
skateboards,
I love
rollerblades.
stuff like that. You know, I love the concentration and sort of the weird childlike joy that comes along with trying to learn things.
Sure.
So yeah, I'll try that. I tried riding one of the Scoobies.
Oh yeah. How was that?
It didn't go so well.
Uh-oh.
It's okay, but like I just I don't have a lot of ego attached to that kind of stuff. I just like the fun of it. So
Fair enough.
I'll try it once.
I understand that working in the service industry can be a pretty time-consuming lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, do you find the time to be able to go enjoy things like going to the jazz bar and go to hike and things like that frequently, or do you have to pretty much like schedule every aspect of your fun life?
I live a very scheduled life. I think like so many people who have multiple hustles, like artists and anyone who works in any sort of creative industry, I feel like you look at their Google Calendar and it's just like random meeting after random meeting.
Showers written in there.
Yeah, like everything is blocked out, and your friends are like, hey, you want to hang out? And you're like, you should have asked me 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because this evening is planned.
Yeah, and it gets to a point where I've found that I feel like people have just stopped asking me to do things.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to hang out with me. And it's like, no, everybody's tired of asking you to hang
busy.
out.
I think when you work nights, and again, sort of going back to the creative fields, like when you work nights, you lose so much of the free time that everybody else has. So like my free time is from 9 a.m. to 1.
Sure.
Every day. And I'm often working or writing or doing something. But the times that I have to be at work are most of the times that other people are recreating. It sounded really weird coming out of my mouth, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And it can be a little lonely sometimes.
Uh-huh.
So I try to avoid that by planning things. And also, if I didn't have a calendar, like my life would just fly off the handle.
Yeah, if I don't put something in my Google Calendar, I will most likely forget about it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely happened before.
I'm a really boring adult now. Things like my Google Calendar and like excited about buying like a vacuum cleaner. Like this is what it's become. Like,
Yeah.
I know it sounds cool to like study wine, but it's just like every other thing where I'm like, ooh, gotta watch my shows. Like, you know?
No, I think that it's so fun to just know that there's still things to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's never ending. As long as you have a passion for something, you can.
Yeah. There's so much to know.
Yeah, you could just dig into anything.
And that's the thing I like best about writing. is that it gives me this really easy way to be like, hey, tell me about the thing that you're really excited about. And people will just let me do it because it's my job, you know?
Sure.
So I get to have access to all of these things and all of these, I get to ask people a million questions, and it's so fun. It's the most fun aspect of it. It's just really getting to dig into things because I'm interested in them.
That's how I feel about this podcast. There's really no reason for it to exist other than my selfish reasons and
Mhm.
just wanting to talk to people. This is almost like a low key, top secret me scheduling hanging out with people.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. But, it has like this greater purpose supposedly, but it's like, no, not really. I'm just meeting new people.
Really just want to hang.
Yeah, I really just want to hang out with people. I found that I was just not good at socializing before I started the podcast.
It gives you a lot of
It
practice.
gave me a reason to do it. You had mentioned that you had a podcast for a while.
I did. And when I was working at City Paper, I had a podcast called Soundbite where I basically scheduled time to hang out with people who at work. So I would go and like visit a trout farmer an hour
cool.
outside of the city and follow him around on his day and ask him a million questions about trout farming. And it was so fun. It's one of the most entertaining and educational things I've ever done. And I'm really it didn't go anywhere, but I'm very proud of it. Like I'm going to save the recordings forever just
Yeah.
because I love doing it so much, and it made me feel like it was one of those things where you were like, "Oh, I'm really doing the right thing.
Mhm.
I'm doing the right thing right now."
I think it's important to do things for yourself, regardless of whether it goes somewhere
Mhm.
or it doesn't. At the end of the day, really, the way that you're spending your time shouldn't really matter to much of anyone other than yourself and the immediate people around you. So if you're spending it in like a healthy and productive way and you're learning stuff and you're having fun,
Yeah, all the better.
who
And you can
cares?
call it work.
Yeah, it's cool if you put it out into the internet. And if other people want to engage with it, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Please come be a part of this. But it's never been a reason why I've ever done anything. I feel it's never
That's
been
really
for like
good.
trying to, because I just do the stuff that I want to do, and if I don't feel like doing something, I just don't do it. I feel like that's a luxury that a lot of people don't have, so I try not to take
Mhm.
it very lightly.
Yeah,
you know?
it's definitely a luxury for sure.
But I think that a lot of people, it's not that hard. It's just a matter of, I think, perception. Maybe that goes back into like the conversation that we had dealing with people's passions and why they do things and what are they passionate about. Can they find a way to monetize that passion into their daily life and maybe make a career out of it or something like that?
Sometimes when you monetize it, though, it ruins it.
Yeah, monetize is a terrible word.
It's like
it's a
recreate.
it's a business word. It comes out of my mouth a lot because I'm always just with all of the stupid shit that I do. And my like full-time gig is like I work for a record label, so I'm always doing like business stuff and thinking about marketing, and like my brain's just always like that. So it unfortunately bleeds into like a casual conversation so much, which is a nightmare, but what am I gonna do? It's in my blood now, I guess.
There it is.
Business blood.
Popping out.
Uh-huh. With you and the next, I don't know, like year, what's the big plan outside of the sommelier thing?
The big plan.
Or you
I
just
don't know if I have a big plan. I very much want to continue writing. I'd like to freelance for some more publications. I have a contract with Pittsburgh Magazine, so it's been like my go-to, and I love writing
how
for them.
does that actually work? Just the getting into freelance writing in general.
I mean, it's much like any other kind of business. Like you pitch a lot and get lucky, or you know someone who knows your work and they say, "Hey, we have like here's some work. Do you want to do it?" And you say, "Yeah, let's give it a try." And then if they like it, then you keep doing work for them.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I mean, freelancing is it's a weird world in which more and more of us are living. I feel like so many people are contractors, especially in the creative fields, but now even more like in other fields. People are doing a lot of contracting or consulting or what have you. So the plan is to do more freelancing, and to continue learning about wine and just kind of seeing where that leads me. I'm not a 5-year plan kind of person. Maybe I should be.
Yeah, I'm not either.
My 31st birthday is coming up, so I'm like, maybe I should.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Take I try to use my birthday as a reevaluative time. So maybe I'll have a better answer for you in like a month.
Yeah. My birthday's October 23rd. So
okay.
I'll be 34.
Congrats.
Hooray. Still doing it.
Still here.
I'm still here. Hell yeah. I'm excited to be here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not much of a 5-year plan person either. I never have been. I'm just like am I doing what I want to do? Art, music, supporting myself, taking care of the people around me, making time for everything. Yeah, okay, cool. We're good.
Got it.
It's like it's weird. A few years ago, it got to a point where when I say it out loud, it feels like I'm admitting that I plateaued and I'm comfortable in that, but I don't think that's necessarily it. It's just like, how far am I supposed to keep going? It's like, okay, I have a job, career that is in the field that I care most about. I have like family and friends and a house and all of these good things. And it's like, what do I keep? When do I, just pump the brakes and take the time to enjoy what I actually have for a bit versus like always trying to like get the next thing going.
Right. I think that's an art. Like that's a thing that you have to force.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I definitely want more for myself, but it's also like I'm perfectly fine where everything is and just trying to relax, which isn't a word that comes out of my mouth a lot unless it's, I will not relax, then sure.
Right. Then it's there.
But me like saying that I want to relax, like something that's been happening recently is I'm actually doing something that I used to never do, which is getting everything on my Google Calendar, all my to-do stuff done every day pretty much because I'm putting less on it. And when I put things on it, I'm like putting them in spots that are a lot more realistic. I used to very much be the person where every day it'd be like 75 things.
Right.
But 3/4 of those are just getting moved every day because there's
no way.
It can't happen.
Yeah, I think there's so much to be said for being more realistic with your time and like having boundaries with yourself and with other people, but also like a lot with yourself.
I've been bringing this up a lot on the podcast, so I apologize for people that have heard me say this a dozen times already. But so it took me a long time to get good at saying no to other people, but I'm still trying to learn how to say no to myself.
Yes. Hard.
And it's very hard.
Yeah, it's I feel like it comes with age when you just can't anymore. So that's when you start saying no. Maybe some people are healthier than I am, but that's always been the struggle. Because I get excited about things and I want to put time into it, and then I realize that it's not maybe realistic. So
yeah. Is there anything that you've wanted to do that you haven't done yet that you would like to do in the next 5 years? Not to put you on a 5-year thing.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
I would love to do some travel writing.
Okay.
Would love to do some travel writing.
Any places in particular? Or do you just want to discover something you don't even know exists?
No, I'm really open. It's just a medium I haven't really tried yet, and I think it's pretty related to all of the things that I'm already familiar with writing about.
Yeah.
And I love to travel, and I'd love to be paid to travel, or at least part of my expenses be covered.
Sure.
And that doesn't seem like an unrealistic goal, right? So I'd love to do some travel writing.
I hope you get to.
Thanks.
That'd be killer.
I think I will.
Yeah.
I just have to pitch the right people. Make some time for it.
It's all about, it's all communication, right? Just reaching out to people, asking questions. You'd be surprised what you can get away with if you just ask.
Yeah. The other thing I'd like to do is work a grape harvest. for a
More
bit.
wine shit.
More wine shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Really on that right now.
Okay.
I was kind of trying to set myself up to do that this fall, and it just wasn't going to be realistic with taking the time. But I'm feeling like next year's
Google
going to
Calendar,
be,
get it in there.
the year. Yeah.
Yeah, get it in there. I am in the middle of when this episode airs.
Mm-hmm.
I am in the middle of my 7-day Disney World vacation.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just you?
No. Me and my girlfriend are going down there for a week.
Nice.
And I've never been, but I'm starting my old man goal is I want to try to ride every operating roller coaster in the United States.
What a great bucket list goal.
Yeah. So slowly every year I'm trying to go to new theme parks.
Every operating roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's a lot of roller coasters. What are what's your definition of roller coaster? Because that could really change things.
If it looks like a roller coaster.
Okay. All right. So does it have to have like cars and like hills and stuff?
I suppose. Why? What are you thinking? What kind of contraptions are you aware
There are just so many kinds of rides, and which one's a roller coaster and which one isn't.
I think a roller coaster is pretty specifically like there's some form of a car and a track.
Okay.
And a car being guided on the track
All
would be a roller coaster.
So vertical too. Like they're the ones that will take you up and drop you. Is that a roller coaster?
Oh, you're thinking like a tower drop?
Yeah.
I don't know if that counts as a roller coaster because that's more like cable cars. They're operated on cables that drop you, right?
You do have like a metric in there.
I guess
for what it is.
But it also doesn't really look like a roller coaster.
It doesn't, but it is a car on a track.
I guess so. Fair enough.
Things to think about.
I mean, typically, if I go to a theme park, I try to ride most of the bullshit that's in the theme park anyways.
Okay.
So, yeah. But just kind of, traditional roller coasters. Mm-hmm. Like if I asked you to draw a roller coaster right now, would you draw
I would draw like a wood roller coaster.
Then that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But
it's going to be a time-consuming goal to attain.
Yeah.
You're going to be waiting in a lot of lines.
I think that just I want to get to a point like when I retire, there's the American Coaster Enthusiasts group, and they take those cute little buses.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that was a thing.
And they have little T-shirts that they wear, and they all match.
That sounds
and they're
so
all
nice.
friends.
Oh.
I'm also going to be really into model trains. I've already decided this.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, I've already laid out. It's not quite on my like 2045 Google Calendar yet. I haven't model train collecting yet, but who knows?
I don't know if I'm still there, but I had an ambition when I was younger to be a red hat lady.
Oh.
Do you know the Red Hat Society?
No.
So it's a charitable women's society of yore. I'm not sure like when it started. It seems like a 50s thing.
Okay.
But all of these, I found out about it because of restaurants. Because all of these like perfectly appointed ladies would come in a big group and they'd all be wearing these red hats. Then they would just destroy everything. I mean, they would just have like the best time ever, and they'd be carousing and cackling in their red hats and their pink hats, which are anyone under 50. So it's supposed to be like a 50 and over thing.
Okay.
And they do charitable works, but they also like really seem to know how to have a good time. So I still want to be a red hat lady. Unless their organization did something horrible that I'm unaware of. Like, unless they're homophobic or like racist or sexist, then I don't want any part of it. But from what I saw,
sure,
I would like to be a red hat lady.
Fair enough. I hope you get to do that. Maybe there'll be like in 25 years, there'll be a red hat American Coaster Enthusiasts sort of get together.
Yeah.
I don't know why those worlds would collide.
I can see the red hat ladies like wanting to ride some roller coasters.
Yeah.
For sure. We'll make it happen.
Hell yeah.
If we ever get there.
We have to.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah. So I believe I'm going to wrap things up here. We've hit our hour. We've talked about pretty much everything I could think of immediately to talk about. I could probably chat with you for a lot longer about
we've really
random
bounced
bullshit
around.
Yeah, it's been all over the place. There's so many different things that you do, and my interests are always like, it's like a pinball on a table. Just
I know a little about a lot of things. That's where I'm at on the interest thing.
fair enough. If it's a pie chart, it's just like really split up.
Right. Yeah.
The smallest slivers.
Can talk to anyone.
Yeah.
For, a little while about what they're interested in. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, that is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening, Celine Roberts. Check out her stuff in the Pittsburgh Magazine. Go see her at Bar Marco.
Yeah.
Or maybe find her falling off a surfboard somewhere. I'll be back again next time with another episode, another guest. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat. 2019. Whoop, woo! Thanks for listening. I don't think I've ever drank a soda on the show. This is episode 252 maybe? I've never had a soda on the fucking show. I always say there's beer and soda in the fridge. I think this is the first time I've actually had a soda on the show. So shout outs to Sprite. Shout outs to me literally having nothing else in the fridge to drink right now. So that's it. And we are done. Done.
Done.
Done. Thank you.
I love your radio DJ voice.
Thanks.